engine repair tests 11 and 12. A hydro-locked engine has a cylinder or cylinders full of coolant that cannot be displaced or compressed.
Yes. True.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
It's not necessarily, you will, it's not necessarily coolant, it can be fuel too. If you've got a fuel injector that's just squirting gas all the time, and let's say you just turn on the key, the fuel pump, and you've turned on the key a bunch of times without spinning it over, you can, or the fuel pressure regulator. If the vacuum diaphragm of the fuel pressure regulator ruptures, and it's the fuel pressure regulator that's on the fuel rail, that will go right through that vacuum line right into the intake, and it can hydro-lock that motor. And so when you go to turn it over, and it goes, whoa, you can feel it start to move, and then it stops. That's something you need to be.
How do you fix that?
Right. Well, to begin with, you got to pull all the plugs out, and you spin it over and just let it blow all that nonsense out of there. See what I'm saying?
It's not permanently locked up?
No. What happens is it's trying to squeeze that water. And when it comes up there and it can't squeeze that water, it can't compress water. Now, water will expand, but you can't compress it. It'll say, whoom, and it stops. Huh? Yeah. Is there somebody out there? Right. What do you need?
I'm wondering if we can still change my spark plugs.
Yeah, we'll do that. Let me get rid of glass here. Yeah, that was the guy that wanted his spark plug replaced.
A spark plug?
I don't know. We need something. Huh? It ain't a motorcycle. We don't work on motorcycles here. Anyway, this is basically going to be cooling system concerns. Looking at engine block core plugs or freeze plugs, as they call them, are designed to protect the engine in the event of freezing.
No.
Well, they're not.
That's bullcrap.
The only reason somebody ever came up with that was somebody back up the line noticed that whenever an engine freezes, when water freezes, it expands 9% by volume. If it didn't, all the fish would die every winter when the plunge froze over because the ice would sink to the bottom. But because it expands 9% by volume, the ice floats on top. See what I mean? That's why ice floats instead of going down.
You ever feel something always at the brim, full of water, frozen?
Yeah. All right, so...
yes.
Yep, he's always got a story. Okay, now. But anyway, the freeze plugs, a lot of people will notice that somebody was noticed that sometimes when it do that, it would push those plugs out. But that doesn't protect
all they
anything.
are is to get the sand out of the block when it was loaded.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever you take it out, you get the sand out of there, and then they put a core plug in there. And you got to watch those things too because they have a tendency to rust through and leak. So, number 3, converters normally present some restriction to exhaust flow.
True.
A little bit, yeah. They put some in there. Number 4. An exhaust leak near an oxygen sensor can create drivability problems.
Yeah.
Okay, now those two are just sort of shoehorned in here amongst all these other cooling questions in there. What % of consumers have preventative maintenance done on their cooling systems?
10%. 10. That's
30%, actually.
Oh.
Whenever my 2007 F-150 hit 100,000 miles, I bought enough coolant to totally replace it. And, of course, I made a ticket in here and all that kind of stuff, and I pumped it through that machine. And it was the gold motor coolant, not the orange, not the green. It was the gold coolant, which is a different motorcraft coolant. And the gold coolant, which you'll see that on that chart over as the yellow. Anyway, that gold coolant was really expensive, and the coolant that I pushed out looked just as good as what I was putting in there. But now I've satisfied manufacturer. A lot of people don't realize that if you do what the manufacturer says, your car is going to last longer. That's just all there is to it. If you do what they say, now you're going to spend some money, but let's be honest here. Our cars do a lot for us, so we shouldn't complain when they expect something from us. Now we know we put gas in there, but a lot of times when we're thinking about our car, we think, "Well, I'm putting gas in you, you thirsty sucker. Why do you need an oil change? Or why do you need your coolant replaced? Or why should I worry about putting spark plugs in you, especially when some of those holes are so hard to get to? Just leave it alone." And then the next thing you know, it's like, this car is just really running bad. I don't know what I'm going to do, And so you start causing problems for yourself because you haven't. And I have had some people say, when have you had your oil changed? Well, I hadn't seen any need to. The car still runs good. What? The car runs good, so you don't need to change the oil? And you're going to keep it running good, or keep it running, you know. Okay, well, whatever.
Probably not.
I had a test. I had a dozen women in here one time for a, powder puff mechanics course, and I just taught them about how to PowerPoint presentation and car care and all this kind of stuff. And every time I showed them, I said, "This stuff needs to be changed. This needs to be done. That needs to be done. This needs to be done. All that." Everything I came out of their mouth got wider and wider. I can't believe I'm supposed to spend all that money on my car. All right. Technician A says the condition of the coolant tested is using a test strip to indicate pH level. Excuse me. Technician A says the condition of the coolant is tested using a test strip to indicate pH level. Technician B says the condition of the coolant is tested using a voltmeter to test for electrolysis. Who's right about that?
Neither.
Both. Yeah, it's like you missed two questions at once, wasn't it? But yeah, that's exactly the right electrolysis. What did I tell you? You go to your negative side of your battery, you dip your positive probe in the water, you want to see if you got voltage in there. What does it mean if you've got voltage in there? That means that the cooling system is too acid.
You know what I do?
Huh?
There's a little syringe thing. You suck it up, it gets a ball off and it floats purple and blue, orange, red.
What's that? What is the ball? Okay, I've seen this. What are the balls do?
And Jason, how much?
Technician A says a hydrometer can be used to test the antifreeze protection level. Technician B says a refractometer can be used to check the antifreeze protection level. Who's right about that? Both of those guys are right. When pressure testing a cooling system, a technician should pump it up to how many pounds pressure?
16.
Actually, that's going to be C. Cap indicated pressure. If it's a 16-pound cap, you go to 16. The catalytic converter works to reduce the emissions of what? You guys should know this.
HCCO2 NOx.
What now?
C.
HCCO and NOx. That's B. All right, you got that. All right, number. During snap acceleration of the engine, what's that mean?
Oh.
Boom. The exhaust back pressure should not exceed what?
3.
Nice guess, boys. All right. That's actually 4 psi.
Three's not even.
What the guys at the muffler shop do, I know this guy that runs a big muffler shop that's just real busy. And if people have the idea that, the exhaust might be restricted, they take it over there and they want him to check it for them. And what he does, we've done it here. He takes some, the catalytic converter is basically, and I'm just drawing this, there'll be a flange and all that kind of thing. And you got bricks in here, right? And if those bricks, and some of them you'll have air coming in between. This one here takes care of the NOx, that one here takes care of the hydrocarbons and all that. But they say that, and this is something I'm going to say that's really important. We talk about this in emissions too. If this is coming from the engine right here, it's flowing this way. If I shoot this with a temperature gun, and I shoot it back here with a temperature gun, what should I see?
It should be hotter on the other side.
Huh? Where should it be the hottest?
On the outside.
Going downhill. Downstream it should be hotter. It should not be hotter here than it is there. If it's hotter here than it is there, then it's clogged up, right? However, that test, like so many other tests that we do in our business here, is only accurate if it fails the test. You understand what I'm saying about that? If it fails the test, it's accurate. If it passes this test, it does not mean you don't have catalyst clogging. We had a Monte Carlo that wouldn't pull your hat off, 40-mile-an-hour car, like that. So I got under it with a temperature gun. I shot it here. I got about 220 degrees. I shot it back here. I got about 450 degrees. Does that mean the catalytic converter is good? No. It just means that, if it passed that part of the test, it does not exonerate the catalytic converter. What we found out was, and we did it like the muffler shop did, we drill a 1/8 hole right here, right in front of the catalyst. All right, we take a hose that's hooked to a pressure gauge. Heck, you can use them a little vacuum gauge that reads pressure on one side, vacuum on it, and hold it against that hose. If you can't get to the oxygen sensor, it's the best way to do it. Stick it up there and hold that, and have somebody just gas it without putting it in gear. And a good free flowing exhaust system won't even have 2 pounds of pressure there. This one here, the Monte Carlo, the red Monte Carlo, it pegged the gauge. I mean, went slam off the gauge. I took a picture of Jesse James Duke holding the gauge. This was hot under here. I mean, it was hot and it was loud. He was holding that gauge. His eyes were this big around. I don't know why, but he was spooked by that. But anyway, that's how we ferreted that one out. When we pulled it off, you could look down in it and tell that it was clogged. I got pictures of that because I wrote an article about it. But once again, let me tell you, if you shoot it here and you shoot it there and it's hotter here than it is there, that does not mean the catalytic converter is good. However, if it's hot here and it's cool there, it does mean it is bad. And that's what you need to do. And you can pretty well get on that. Occasionally, I need to make sure everybody understands that, right? Okay, number 10 has a snap accelerate. Shouldn't exceed 4 psi. You got that? Everybody got that? 4 psi. You know, I should have a worksheet where y'all check exhaust back pressure. I think number 11. Vacuum is measured in what?
HG.
What is HG?
Mercury.
Why did they come up with that?
Mercury.
Is there such a thing as water vacuum?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's really, a lot. The number
Not
is a
as
lot.
good a measurement.
Yeah, actually, it is because it's a higher resolution.
Be more, yeah.
Yeah, I mean you can have a little bit of mercury, and that's a lot of water. See what I'm saying? Because of the weight of it. Okay, you know how they came up with that?
Greek came up with it probably.
Yeah. Okay.
They go up with a lot of stuff.
We're in school. We're supposed to know stuff, right? All right. Watch this. I'm going to take a tube, a graduated tube, right here.
As long as it's not curly like glass.
Right, these are inches. All right, now I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to take, and this is going to be mercury.
Look like an elf shoe.
This is mercury right here, right?
It does.
Okay, now let's say that this is 0, right here. Got that? I say that. I did this wrong. This is up here. This is going to be at 30. All right, now I'm going to put vacuum on here. When I pull all the air off of this mercury here, this is going to go down 30 inches in that tube. Got it? I pull that air off here, this goes down 30 inches. If it, with atmospheric pressure there, it goes up to 30. It's going to go down, going to go up as you pull air off from atmospheric pressure here. So that's how you do that. The atmospheric pressure pushing on mercury do that. Now,
So is that like a thermometer?
I've never done that, but I read that in the book somewhere, so I figured I'd share it with you. Okay.
Right, so the answer is HG.
Yeah, HG. And mercury is very poison, so don't handle it with your hands ever, and definitely don't eat any of it. Not even.
Deteriorate your fingers.
It will just ruin you. Well, actually, mercury is just molten metal, is all it is, but it's super poison for your system. The catalytic converter regularly operates at temperatures between 12 and 1600, but temperatures can exceed what?
5,000.
2,000 degrees. Did you know that on the scan tool, you can plug a scan tool into my F-150 and it will tell you what the catalyst temperature is? You've seen that before, did you? Yeah, them scan tools. I'm surprised that Michael Snap-on scanner hadn't shown you that. One common, it probably does, but you just haven't seen the pin. One common cause of engine overheating is what in the system? Air in the system. Everybody knows that. Filling up the coolant system, they like pouring water in a bucket. I have the worst trouble teaching people that. I have people throw the water pump back on, fill the radiator up to where you can see it at the top, walk away. I'm done.
Let it run.
When you let it run for a while, it's going to go down. You're going to keep pouring it in there. The thermostat opens, the air gets, and if you've got any bleeding, some of them foreign cars that have a real sloping front, you got to jack the car up before you get the cooling system full. You got to jack it up to about 40 degrees because the radiator needs to be higher than the engine. And some of them, because they're made like a knife blade going down, they actually have the radiator lower than the motor, and you can't get them full without that. Especially if you're putting it in the radiator yourself. Well, let's see. Another common cause of overheating is the thermostat sticking in the what position? Duh. Technicians should be cautious when working under the hood because what kind of fan gets started any time? Also, it can catch fire. Okay, number 16. Did you know one of the things they were trying to do whenever they first started putting radios in cars was make it illegal to have a radio in a car because radios could catch fire?
Look at the car.
There's a lot of dust in the radio. Those vacuum tubes can set fire to it, you know.
Well, the car is very flammable because it's got a big thing of gas in it.
Well, yeah, it does too.
Just think, if you got a leak and light a cigarette, boom!
Yep, it could be vapor.
Yeah. So I have my mom's old car.
A blank is a bulletin that manufacturers publish when there's a common problem for which an effective correction has been identified. Technical Service Bulletin, number 17. And you better be getting good at looking at those up because they will save you a heck of a lot of work. Yes, sir.
I never found the total, that thing you told me to look up.
You got
I
time?
remember last night that I remember trying to look up, but it's not in the book, and I even Googled it, and it didn't come up.
Outstanding performance. I'll have to talk to those publishers about that.
Exactly.
A blank leak can cause rough running, stalling, and misfiring.
Yeah.
What? What?
Fluid.
Vacuum leak.
Vacuum leak. Very good. Number 18. The advantage of a blank intake manifold over a manifold made of metal is that it's, oh yes, what's it going to be made of? Does not transfer as much heat to the intake charge. Plastic intake. Furthermore, we get to change a lot of intake gaskets on plastic intake because they had to leak air. All right, number 19. The air filter is designed to catch what kind of matter in the air before it gets into the engine? Particulate matter. Huh? Which one?
Particulate.
Thank you.
Particulate.
Late.
Particulate matter. Modern catalytic converters are considered what way catalysts?
Three-way.
Three-way catalysts. As a matter of fact, on your VECI decal, you'll see TWC.